Hello, everybody. Peace and baby blessings. This is Samsarah Morgan, and I'm the Executive Director of the Oakland Better Birth Foundation, NIA Healing Center for Birth and Family Life, Shift First Circle Community Doula Program, and the Better Birth Association of Harlow. And this is a bit of an unusual video, I guess, but it is a response to one of my favorite YouTubers. Those of you who know me well know that I am a true crime aficionado, and one of my favorite things to do to unwind, which sounds weird to lots of people, but not to me, is that I love watching true crime videos on YouTube. And one of my favorite YouTubers is a lovely woman by the name of Stephanie Harlow. And I just want to say, I'm a fan, girl. I'm totally a fan. And I've always found her to be incredibly intelligent, and all of her work is wonderfully researched. She's a mama, so she talks about her family, which is, of course, something that's close to my heart, my family and my work. But she's an all-round, intelligent, grounded presence on YouTube, which is really hard to find. There's not that many of folks on YouTube who I would say are well-rounded and grounded. It seems that Ms. Harlow ran into a concern this week on her, I think it was her Twitter account, either Twitter or Instagram, and she was questioning this week's rioting that was taking place. Actually, that was last week's rioting that was starting to take place after the protests in Minnesota. Let's take a moment. And she put forth a very heartfelt video because her viewers had a very negative response to her questioning questioning why specifically the Target in Minnesota was attacked as part of the overall expression of anger in that community, specifically, Black folks and brown folks in that community voicing their anger, and how the Target would seem to be singled out. She was questioning, what did this have to do with what had happened to Mr. George Floyd, the gentleman who we saw most brutally murdered by police in his community. And so there was, it appears that there was this whole maelstrom of anger towards her statement, and she was trying to address that, and she did address it. I feel she addressed it very well. She tried to not be defensive. I think she did that overall very well. And she put out a call for she recognizes that as a white person, there's parts of the world that she does not understand. She put out the desire to understand. She put out the understanding that it's not Black folks' job to teach her. But then she did ask for folks to share information and share their experience. And I'm assuming that she wants to create a forum where she will use her YouTube platform to put forth to the images, feelings, and expressions of people of color, rather than for her to speak for people of color, which I think is a really good thing. I think that's a really wonderful thing. So she asked for folks to share with her information regarding, general impressions of, what the anger is about, how people are feeling, how people are dealing with these these times, these specific times, of course, having to do with what happened to George Floyd. But, George Floyd didn't happen in a vacuum, and George Floyd, unfortunately, is not the first time that we get to watch a black man being brutally slain by police authorities, or authorities that were supposed to protect and serve us, and that everybody saw that, and then everybody went on to watch what happened after that and see that nothing came of that. Nothing substantial came of that. Okay? I live in Oakland, California. Oakland, California is the home of the brutal slaying of Oscar Grant. That was several years ago. So need I say more on that? So yeah, this pent up anger at, it was great that those folks got arrested, but then what happens after that? Just because the cops got arrested in Mr. Floyd's case, just because the BART police were arrested in Oscar Grant's case, the follow through was non-existent. And these same authorities proceed to go on to miscellaneously abuse and miscellaneously take Black lives, basically at their whim, whenever they want to. And unfortunately, now we have a president that basically has said okay to that. And so it's a free-for-all of incidents, of the spike in targeted racial incidents towards Black and brown bodies is documented. It's verifiable, and still we still have white people saying, I don't understand what they're so angry about. I don't understand why they're destroying their own communities. But we need to take into account that although Black and brown people might live in certain communities, it's not necessarily their community. Is their voice heard by their city representatives? No. Do they have an opportunity for housing and jobs? No. Consistently, no. Absolutely, no. So, if you're thinking about that, if you saw that video and you didn't want to break something, I'd have to question truly your humanity. And so to judge the folks who have had years, generations of inequality and abuse, when they push back on that, not the thing to do. This situation will require a much more nuanced approach. Unfortunately, I don't see politically us having the leadership needed. My prayers are on a grassroots level, that people are talking and that people will put in place strategies to address the community's anger, individual community anger, as well as affect things globally, with regard to the nation. We're in a very bad place right now as a nation. What I've specifically wanted to address, one big piece of my anger, is the fact that we live allegedly in the most powerful country on the planet. And this country is the worst country for any woman to give birth in. The United States of America loses more children and more women due to childbirth than any other industrialized country. That is true, that is given, that is documented. Okay? No argument. Of this pool of women and babies dying, African and American women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die in childbirth than their white counterpart. And this is regardless of income. If you look at the March of Dimes statistics on mortality, if you look at the UN statistics on mortality, if you look at Amnesty International study on maternal mortality, you will see that the darker the person, the more at risk they are to die in childbirth in the United States of America. And one of the main reasons for this is that we have to look at the same reasons that make African American people more susceptible to dying from COVID. Similarly, the issues of the systemic racism and white supremacy that run this country make it possible for this to be true in the most powerful country on earth. Okay? The care that Black and brown women are given, the care that indigenous women are given, the care that poor women are given in this country is not the same as women who are white or middle class or affluent. There's two entirely different worlds here. So in a pool where everybody's being treated really badly, because as I said before, no woman's doing well in childbirth in the United States of America. Much smaller countries with much fewer resources have better outcomes for their birthing mamas and babies. Why? Well, they have midwives taking care of the pregnant people. They have universal health care, right? Universal health care is trying to save money at every moment. And so, oh yeah, let's use midwives because they're less expensive and, they get the job done and the babies are born and folks live. This is the only country that has trained surgeons delivering the majority of the babies. This is the only country that has trained surgeons treating yeast infections. Tremendous waste of money. A tremendous waste of money. So when you add that on top of this is systemic stress, even if someone is eating 100% a healthy diet, say you're a Black attorney and you have lots of money, you have enough money, you're paying your bills, you still are dealing with the corporate stressors of being, say, a Black woman in a law firm. What does that do? Being a Black pregnant woman in a law firm, and the systemic racism and microaggressions that get tossed at you on a daily basis, the constant grind to prove yourself worthy on a second by second basis in that environment. That affects how you even digest your food and what nutrients you can draw from that food in order for you to have a healthy pregnancy and to give birth to a healthy child. So even if you've got all your food groups eaten 3 times a day, which busy corporate people don't tend to do anyway, I have as much stress with my busy corporate clients as I do with folks with much fewer resources. They're racing and they're running and they're always constantly having to prove themselves in a corporate environment or law firm or whatever. Inadequate time to rest before giving birth, inadequate postpartum support after they have the baby. You can go on and that. You take all those problems and you triple them for a Black woman in the same circumstances. Higher incidence of premature labor, higher instances of preeclampsia, which is pregnancy-induced hypertension, higher uses of pain medications, and all the pain medications have very severe side effects, the potential for very severe side effects. Right now, since COVID-19, most of the hospitals in this country have clamped down on the number of people who could be in the hospital with a birthing mother when she's in labor. And those restrictions have kept doulas from being able to be present at a great number of births. Doulas, trained labor assistants or lay labor assistants, are people who go into the hospital with the birthing person to help that person get through the gauntlet of disrespect and misinformation that's thrown at them when they're trying to have their babies in a hospital setting. We provide physical support to the mom so that she can find her inner strength, find her inner center to be able to go forward and have her baby. The statistics on the benefits of doulas are stellar and, again, well documented. 50% less likely to have a cesarean, 60% less likely to request for pain medication. All of those things have a benefit on the mother's health and well-being during the labor process and after the labor process, and being able to be a healthy, functional mother for the rest of her life. All babies born without all of these additional unnecessary medications breastfeed well, grow well and happy, and are able to go on and have a beautiful life, hopefully 99 years of being a healthy, conscious person serving their communities. Because doulas are not available, are not being allowed to be available, lives are at risk. And the lives most severely impacted are African American women, indigenous women. That's what I'm extremely angry about. I'm getting reports daily on how many more inductions are being done on women, on how many more C-sections are being done on women. I've had reports of when the ban first came down, of mothers showing up to have their babies and crying in hospital lobbies, begging for their doulas to be at their side, and the hospital staff telling them no. You might remember that New York State tried to ban even the father being present at the birth. This is not how we should handle things in a crisis. Doulas should be essential workers. Should be considered essential workers like every other healthcare person. We're not medical people, but we're definitely healthcare providers, holistic healthcare providers, information givers and coaches. And I really can't see any reason why this is being done other than to, allow medical corporations to take advantage of the situation and make an awful lot of money. They're making a lot of money right now. And the impact on the lives of women and babies is not on their radar, although they say that that's what they're doing. So right now I'm engaged in my own protest, and I am asking the community to talk to the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, and to request that he do what the what the governor of New York State has done, which is to declare birth doulas essential workers. We would think that would be a no-brainer, but since it seems to not be, then we have to take the step of having the governor declare us essential workers and allow us to get in there, work with the professional. That there are wonderful medical people out there doing good things. The problem is there's not enough of them, and there's not enough of midwives in this country. We need more nurse midwives. We need more access to home birth for all women. Right now, if you want to have a home birth and if you can't afford to pay a home birth midwife, you're stuck. So we're stuck feeding our bodies into a system that has historically been hostile towards Black and Indigenous women. I want to recommend to you, my friend Stephanie, a really good book on the history of what I'm speaking about. And the book is Killing the Black Body: Race, Reproduction, and the Meaning of Liberty. And the book is written by Dorothy Roberts. I think of all the books on the topic, that would be the most illuminating for you and anyone else who is concerned about this topic. So I think I'm going to stop there. I really want to thank you again, Stephanie, for asking the question, for being humble, for asking to be educated, for being gracious as well, and wanting to use your platform to give voice to people who don't have a voice. All of those things are incredibly wonderful, and I hope that with the information that you learn, that you go and teach other white people, because that's what needs to happen. White folks have to talk to white folks and not depend on Black folks to teach them. The revolution will come from people sharing the truth with each other and taking good care of themselves so they can continue to tell the truth. I'm praying for this country. I'm praying for all of us. I appreciate and feel your love, Stephanie, and I hope that you feel mine. To my folks here in Oakland, California, I'm going to post this on my Oakland Better Birth YouTube channel and maybe on my Facebook. Today is not a day that I'm posting anything on social media because it's Blackout Tuesday. So follow that hashtag to find out what Blackout Tuesday is all about. I love us all. At the end of the day, love is the only way that we're going to survive this. And yeah, I'm going to leave it there. So peace and baby blessings, y'all.